Morning. Good morning. A little bit late today. Uh, got a phone call from my sister back in the U.S. and you know took me off schedule. So I'm basically flying by the seat of my pants today. Uh, I even thought, just stream tomorrow, but I thought, you know what? I've been streaming Tuesday and Thursday and Sunday for a while, and I don't want to keep changing it up if at all possible. So right now it is 90 degrees, 8:30 in the morning. It's 90 degrees already. High of 96 supposedly. I think it's going to be hotter than that, but it feels like 104. So at 8 o'clock in the morning, 8:38 in the morning, it's 104. It feels like 104 degrees, and it's 72% humidity. Winds 3 miles an hour southwest, 3 miles an hour. Visibility 6. UV index 3. The pollution index is at 80, which is moderate. So there is some pollution starting to creep in on a regular basis now. Tide bot 32.3778. And the Bitcoin up 0.65, 89.20. So that's where we're at for the day. Let me see what's going on in here. Greetings from Indiana, Atlanta, Seattle. Howdy, Mitch. Rob not doing a live stream tonight? Not sure. Who is Rob? 20 seconds in Thailand. 20 seconds in Thailand. Mitch is his moderator. Bangkok, Thailand via Miami, Florida. Not a fan of 20 seconds, but respect if you are. I thought you were from Arizona. Was that just high school? I never lived in Arizona. Let's see here. 28 things to bring to Thailand. I like to travel light. 1 carry-on bag, not 3 suitcases. Make it a point to never advertise on someone else's channel that I help on another channel. Can't stand when people try to promote on another channel. Very hot. That travel underwear. Okay, so we're caught up. I've met Rob. Rob's a nice guy, you know. I don't watch his channel, and I don't really watch anybody's channel on YouTube. And to be completely honest, I've said it before, but I like to watch documentaries. And I watch some Joe Rogan. I watch some stuff that's related to the news. But really, I can't get into anything here in Thailand very much unless it's super unique and special, just because I've been here a long time. And, you know, more power to whoever is doing YouTube about Thailand, but I don't want to be just about Thailand because I'm much more than that. That's why I am an American in Bangkok. I could be an American anywhere and I'll still have could be a boring life to some people, could be a good life to some people. Right now it's a little boring because I'm still staying inside for the most part. You know, it's not as if I can go run around, do whatever I want here. And, you know, if I do, then I've got to wear a mask. We got to wear masks. And this is one of the concerns that I have is, are we going to have to wear masks like for the next 5 years, 10 years? Is it forever? Is there always going to be plexiglass between us? You know, yeah, I'm the balding man in Bangkok now. Fuck you, Soy Dog Cowboy. Actually, I've been trying to get a haircut for quite some time because I'd rather just shave my head because I don't like having the bald up here. I never thought I would be a balding old man, but I've been meaning to get a shave, and I can't get Alex. I got to be in the mood to shave my head, and then I have Alex come back and make sure that there's no stray hairs, and he just tidies me up. And then it means I've got to shave also, which I've been meaning to do. And I admit it, I'm lazy. I'm lazy. I admit it. This is not good for me to stay inside all the time. I need to know I can go outside, I can go run around, I can go here, I can go there. I need to know that that's available. And it's starting to become available here and elsewhere in the world. And I've got mixed emotions about that. I really do. I just don't know how I feel about it. And quite frankly, I'm sick of talking about it. I'm sick of talking about politics. I'm just sick of all of it. I'm really. That's the only way I know how to put it. I'm just done. I don't know what else to say. Yeah, that's about it, I guess. There it is in a nutshell. And I can understand where Mr. Longhorns, in the beginning, I used to give him shit about the fact that he didn't want to, uh, go online very often. He didn't want to deal with any social media and stuff like that. It's taking him a hard time, but you know what? I understand now a little bit more. I can't stand social media. They should call it anti-social media because that's kind of what it is. Uh, and then I see these things online about, this guy and that guy and how, or this guy and this girl, how they got together and how they're having all these problems and this happened and that happened. It's like, whatever happened to just meeting people in person? And I know you can't do that now, but this is a temporary situation, and so I just don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm pretty sick of all this bullshit. That's what it is. Not to be negative, but I am. I'm flat out done with it. Let me see something. I'm looking for something in particular here, and I can't find it. So, anyway, this I'll see if I can wing it. Good, my eyebrows are out of control. This stream and videos and whatever else I do here is brought to you by the kind people who support me on Patreon, who support my website, who support me on YouTube here. There is a YouTube membership. If you see the join button, that's what that is. YouTube must have caved in because originally it was you had to have like 50,000 people, then it was 30,000 subscribers in order to be able to have the membership option in your channel. And now it's, oh, well, we've come up with this new thing and we want to give it a shot. So now they're allowing that, which is a good thing. So you can become a member like through the YouTube channel. But of course they get their 30%. And I'm hoping that YouTube basically relaxes their politics and their algorithm a little bit to be able to allow people to speak freely. I'm not talking about go out and, like ISIS kind of shit. Just to speak freely and not have to worry about if you say coronavirus, they will demonetize you, that kind of thing. So PayPal is better than, YouTube membership is recurring. Which is a good thing, but they take 30%. Super Chat, they take 30%. PayPal, it takes like 3%, and then, PayPal is always better. Cash is king. I'd rather have $10,000 of cash in my pocket than $15,000 on a card that could get locked down. I mean, I don't trust any government at this point. I mean, this whole situation and my going to Hong Kong and my seeing what the CCP has done and what they continue to do and their propaganda and all this, I've lost faith in governments. I have absolutely no faith in governments. I don't believe a word they say. It's like and I hate to be negative about it, but it's not necessarily being negative. It's hard to find positives. I have a hard time being positive about Trump. And, I'll be honest, I voted for him because I didn't want to vote for Clinton, which is maybe not a good reason to vote for him. But I have a hard time with him because there are some instances you need to be presidential. You need to stand up. But he has done some good things. And then I look at at Biden and I go, how could I vote for Biden? He can barely. I mean, listen, I have my problems speaking sometimes where I stutter but I'm not a professional speaker. I'm not a public speaker who goes out and makes speeches. And that's part of, I don't go out and make campaign speeches so that I can become elected. Whatever I say here, if I screw up, I screw up. It's not a big deal. Even on TV, sometimes people screw up and they keep it as bloopers or whatever, or they just screw up live on TV. So I have a problem with Biden. So then what kind of hope does that give people in the United States? That's why people are pissed off. The left looks at Trump and they see nothing. They see nothing. They don't have hope. The right looks at Biden and they laugh and they say, well, Trump is much better. In the end, it's dividing the United States. I've never seen it like this before. It's been how many years? 50 years since it's been anywhere near this. And that was with the Vietnam War. So, I didn't vote last time. And with the choices now, I can't vote this time either. Well, not voting is a vote in itself. It's making a choice. It's the choice of not voting, so that is what it is. I don't know what's going to happen, but, I was trying to think, if I was to think about Thailand right now, what is it that I'd want to talk about? And, I've been complaining about, thank you very much, Richard. Appreciate that, as always. Shout out to Richard. There's a lot of good things here in Thailand. There are. You watch your P's and Q's. You learn a little bit of the culture. And most people will never have a problem. Stay away from drugs, Stay away. Thank you very much there, Chris Mock. Appreciate that. But, if you take out Thailand from the equation, if you mind your P's and Q's, you know the language, and you communicate properly. In other words, you're not screaming expletives at somebody and berating them and insulting them. You're probably going to be okay 99% of the time. Now, if you go into a bad neighborhood and you're wearing a Rolex with diamonds on it, obviously you're asking for trouble. And the same goes for here. If you leave out 50,000 baht in the room, there might be a problem. Yeah, I can't, listen, let's see here. Both are terrible candidates. I'm left and cannot support Biden because of voting record and mental decline. Well, I actually was just saying to my sister today, who knows if the guy would live through 4 years of the presidency, the stress of being president. I don't know that he could. And, then the thing is that he's already declined quite a bit. Saw Pelosi interview with Chris Wallace. She was a stuttering mess, repeating herself and giving zero credit for everything Trump has done. She totally lost respect for her when she ripped up Speed. Ripped up Speed. Well, I don't particularly like her. I don't like that loudmouth Maxine Waters. And I don't like Chuck Schumer, and I don't like Amy Schumer. I don't like any of them. I just don't like them. I mean, if I sat down and we were talking about, rainbows and lollipops and having a dinner, okay, maybe. But if we started getting into anything controversial, this is the other thing. I think to myself, what would happen if I was ever in that kind of a situation? I'd mouth off. I'd say what I want to say, and I'd be like, listen, this is why America is free, and we're talking about America, but there are many other countries that are free or somewhat free also, and America's not even as free as we think it is, but, you got to be able to speak up, and at the risk of getting your ass kicked. Nowadays, some people speak up and some people don't, but you got to be able to have constructive conversation. That is, unless it's my channel. I don't mind having constructive conversation, but the minute somebody says something insulting or hateful or anything like that, then obviously it's time for them to go, because I don't want to deal with it. I don't have to, Unfortunately, that hasn't been happening, which is great. But, I've been thinking about Thailand a lot lately. And the things that I'd like to do here. I mean, what do I still want to do here? It's not like I'm so old that I can't do anything, or that I haven't. It's not like I've done everything here and there's nothing to see. I kind of feel that Trump shed the light on China. I mean, before him, where was the discussion on China? For only that, I reckon he deserves respect, not to say he is without flaws. Yeah, well, he's definitely flawed. But then again, everyone is. And I think now more than ever, and it's gradually been happening as the internet has become more prevalent in people's lives around the world, you can see now that the celebrities, the politicians, they're human. And, I mean, listen, I can't tell you how many musicians I've seen playing, like, trying to, cheer people up. And I see them, and most of the time I'm like, oh, man. Or I see some celebrity, and I'm like, she's a ditz. She's an idiot. You can tell by just watching her speak. And I'm like, this is the real world. The real world is nobody's perfect, and you do the best you can. But, like, sometimes it seems like our leaders, they don't do the best that they can. And I say our leaders, I'm talking about American leaders, because I have no say here in Thailand. But the leaders don't seem to be doing things for the people and just implementing policies that are the best policies possible. They seem to be doing things for their own reasons, they have their own agenda, and that's where I kind of have a problem with have a problem with, and also with the media. I have a problem with the media. I started watching MSNBC, some clip on MSNBC today about how Trump is being too difficult on China and how he shouldn't be saying these things and we should be cajoling China. I got news for these people. If they think they're going to cajole China, I think they need to go to China, or they need to go to Hong Kong or Taiwan or some of these other places and go where there are problems because of the Chinese and see how the Chinese handle their problems. The Chinese government and the military and the police, like in Hong Kong, they do not cajole their citizens. That's not how they operate. So you cannot respond in kind. You cannot respond by cajoling them. That's not going to work. We're headed for a big showdown. I feel like I should be able to play that music right now from ELO. There's going to be a showdown. I really believe that. And I think it's the luck of the draw where you are and what happens and if you're affected by it. But I think we're headed for something. And I saw somebody who's a military expert a couple of weeks ago who said, I think we're going to have a war with China within 30 years. And I had said the other day that it's going to be a couple of years, like 2-3 years. And I'd say less than 5. If I was a gambling man, I'd say I'll take the under of 5. Now, what kind of war it is, I don't know. But, it's these people don't understand the Chinese culture and how it works. You need to experience it to know it. Yes. What I'd like to know is, how has this affected people, like in the chat, people watching? How has this affected you? Has it changed how you think in your life? Has it made you consider, say, saving more money, socking away more food, thinking about what's your backup plan and your backup plan? Because that's what it's made me do. So I'm curious to know how many people are thinking to themselves, okay, so what would I do if I lost my job? Where would we go? How would I take care of my family? Do we have enough food? Do we have enough money? Because now, at this point, I'm starting to think that way. And I always thought, hey, you got to save money. And, I just left that to my wife. Hell yeah, I'm affected. People staying home, not driving, collapse of towing and roadside service, just one example. Yeah, but so how has that made you change your life, and how are you going to change it, and will you stick with it once, assuming things go back to normal, and you start socking away money, and you start seeing that, okay, life is semi-normal again. What are you going to do to uh, change things from the way they were to now? Yeah, that's a big joke, but like I was telling my sister today, I was like, listen, now that people are going to make a run for the toilet paper. It used to be make a run for the border. Now it's make a run for the toilet paper. So what is so difficult? Once things get back to normal and you see that there is toilet paper in stock, and there will be toilet paper in stock because people need toilet paper, at least in the United States. They don't really need it all that much here. There's plenty here. All you got to do is, when you go to the grocery, every time you go to the grocery, if you buy 4 rolls every time you go to the grocery, let's say you're single, you use 1 roll a week, and you're buying a 4-pack. I don't even know how many they come in a pack now. That you buy a 4-pack. Well, instead you buy the 12-pack. And every time you go to the grocery, you buy a little bit extra, and you make sure you got a place, you sock it away, you keep it dry. You don't want wet toilet paper. And then if anything happens like that again, in a couple of months, you got so much toilet paper, you probably can't shit that much in a lifetime. Well, yeah, that's something else. Now's the time to buy. And I'll tell you what, I've got the Cash App. Not to do a little plug right here, but I do have the Cash App, and if you go down into the description, I think it's in there. Yeah, use the Cash App. And I believe I have a link that you get like $5 if you sign up. But in the Cash App, you can buy stock and Bitcoin for as little as $1. And so you could put in $5, $10, $3, $1, whatever, and just slowly, if that's all you have, you can start putting that away. And I've been doing that since I had the Cash App, which has been for a few months now. And I'm not really into it. My wife is into it, and she's really gotten into it lately. But hopefully, everything will get back to normal. I don't know. Greetings from Netherlands. Trying to chat something from the start, but blocked. Depends on what you're trying to put in. You can't put in a link. You can't put in certain words. And I have nothing to do with that in most cases. So I don't know what to tell you. You got to find a workaround. I was hoping that Fidelity Quester would be here because he sent me a message and was asking about this woman, Judy Mitikovitz or something. Let me see if I can find it here. What was her name?
Welcome, everyone.
Judy Mikovits. She's a molecular scientist or molecular biologist or something. I don't know what her title is, but she had a lot of interesting stuff to say. And, I've been going back and forth on, just how important this lockdown is at this point. And she's under the impression that there's a conspiracy and that science is not really being properly implemented. And she's not the only person who believes this. There's 3 or 4 people who have come out and really railed on the government, the U.S. government in particular. And my thing is, a lot of them are saying, yeah, the CDC is following these people, and they listen to these people and that people, and they do it for a certain reason. But my thing is, what about all the other countries of the world? I don't think all the countries are in cahoots together, and that's why I don't think there's a big conspiracy. I think in the beginning, to lock down was a good thing. But if you look at Sweden, they have a very, very small percentage of people who have died of their population. And they haven't practiced any lockdown. They've done some social distancing. But so that's the thing. I don't know what's what now. And that makes it even more difficult. And then it's, in the U.S., they're like, oh, don't wear the mask. then it's wear the mask. I don't want to wear a mask, to be honest. Who wants to wear a mask? But I will if it means it's going to save my life or save other people's lives. Let's see here. How many of you have got your stimulus checks? Curious to know that. A lot of people complaining they haven't got theirs yet. And you see the same thing all the time. And, the IRS is dealing with a large number of people and a large number of checks and deposits. So, again, who knows what's going on. I'm in Sweden. I can tell you that we take it seriously. I believe you take it seriously, but what I mean is people are not locked down in mass and the police are telling people to go inside or they're going to be arrested. And I don't believe that's happening there, but I do believe that the elderly and the more vulnerable people are staying inside, and I think that you guys are practicing social distancing. That's what I've been reading. Now, that's not necessarily true, but that's what I've been reading from several different sources. Hope Trump's Secret Service detail in point. Cannot think of a president. What? It is on point. Cannot think of a president since JFK more at risk. He has totally upset the status quo since being elected. Definitely. He is, what everybody doesn't like. What everybody on the other side despises. Thing is that the government here don't think that is a lockdown like the rest of the world isn't a feasible way to do it long term. No, it's not. I'm glad you're not in the Philippines. Lockdown is severe there. Well, listen, I've said this before. I love the Filipino people. I like the Philippines. It's just not for me. I would not want to be there right now. For a number of reasons, and the restrictions there are, that's one reason. And I don't like it here how they just said, oh, sorry, you can't drink. And then I just saw, let me see if I can find it. I saw an article where someone, and I'm not going to say who it is because I don't want to get in trouble, but let me see if I can find it. She was very concerned about the relaxation of booze laws here and allowing people to begin purchasing alcohol on a takeaway basis. They can't sit and drink at establishments. But let me see here. I understand that when people drink, they want to get together, and it's a social. It promotes a social atmosphere. However, I don't think that just completely doing away with alcohol, with the ability to purchase alcohol, is the way to go. Because I think people find workarounds. And they're still going to be doing the same thing. Maybe it's like, you have a lock on your door at home, and it makes it difficult if the door is locked for a robber to just walk right in. That's about what it reminds me of. But, I don't like the whole Big Brother nanny state kind of thing. I don't like that, and I never will. So I'm sorry, I think that a lot of times the people really need to take responsibility for themselves. And if you've got an alcohol problem and this kind of thing happens, I think, first thing you need to think about, and I know that this is not the way that alcoholics think, you need to think about food and shelter. But that's not what they think of. They think of booze. But shutting down the country and not allowing people to purchase alcohol makes their lives even more difficult, if not deadly. And that's what I was thinking of when they first announced this. Yeah, I can't find it, but she was worried about allowing people to... Oh, no, that's not it. There's so much stuff going on, I can't keep up with it. And like I said, I wasn't even going to do anything. I didn't prepare anything. I have no notes, nothing for today, because I just thought, stuff is doing my head in. I mean, really, it's doing my head in. I'm at home, and I'm like, you know what I do now is, if I'm streaming, when I'm done streaming, if I'm not going to do any editing, or once I'm done editing, I shut down my computer and I put it in my desk drawer. And I don't even touch it anymore. I have my phone and I watch something on my phone, or I go do whatever I got to do around the house, and that's it. Anyway, and what's the one that I was looking at yesterday about how some of the bar owners in Pattaya have decided that enough is enough. And once they announced that there was going to be another month of lockdowns, see if I can find it here. They just started packing up their stuff and moving it. Now, what is this? Let's see. Here we go. The government are also looking long term. The Spanish flu was in 3 waves, where the second wave was far more deadly than the first. That is a big concern of mine and many others, of course. In my opinion, the government are taking in as much data as they can now so they can effectively combat this thing through systems that work. What happens? You know, I click on it and all it does is go to the same page. So let's see if I can find it again. Here we go. All right. The lockdown thing is too long. Well, I guess if it saves your life, it's not too long. If it doesn't save your life, then, you know, you have the freedom to say, it didn't have to be that long. The lockdown and curfew conditions have been extended in Thailand until May 31st. Now, this is not me who wrote this, but until this reckless decision by the government, business owners in Pattaya have been hoping the original 3-week shutdown would be ending today, which was May 1st. There has been an idea that customers may start returning to Pattaya for the holiday weekend, which begins Friday, but the government has killed any notion of that, along with the hopes and dreams of thousands in Pattaya who now realize it is over for them. Since the extension was announced on Monday, idle bar workers, hotel staff, drivers, food vendors, and an army of service industry staff have finally given up and are packing their belongings to leave town. Many have already gone, and only the hopeful remain. Not anymore. Tongjan Supeng spent yesterday packing up her beer bar and salon business. The Surin native had been in Pattaya for 15 years, and for 12 of those, she successfully ran a hairdressing salon within sight of Walking Street. Tongjan told Thai PBS she could comfortably earn 40,000 baht a day during her 12-hour shifts, and this easily covered the 100,000 baht monthly rent and salaries for her 10 members of staff. I don't understand that, but okay. But now her staff have given up waiting for the good times to roll back in and return to their home villages. Tongjan herself packed up her pickup truck and is ready to go. She has no idea what the future holds for her, but says there is no point going back to her home village as there are no customers for her there either. She says she doesn't know what her next move will be, but for her, like so many others, the Pattaya life is over. So there you go. It's one way of thinking of it. No lockdown, no social distancing, and bans on gathering over 50 people. People over 70 are recommended not to go out at all. Pretty much the whole show is run by scientists and doctors. Okay. On the western coast of Turkey, no shortages. Pretty mellow. Only weekend lockdowns. Domestic travel restrictions being relaxed. Automatic visa extensions for foreigners. Yeah, Steve from Steve's Kitchen. He's probably asleep now because I think it's about 5 o'clock, 10 after 5 in the morning in Turkey. I think he's in Istanbul. I don't know. I don't remember, to be honest, but I think that's where he is. And, he wasn't very worried about this. But, he said that in Turkey it was pretty lax, and then it started tightening up, and I haven't talked to him since then. So pretty interesting stuff. It depends on where you are in the world. And this is the thing. This is why I'm like, you know what, I don't want to wear a mask. Well, I don't have to wear a mask in my house. So for now, my house has to do for me. It's my free space. It's my, safe space. But, what is everybody going to do? Go to the coffee shop and sit around with a mask on and eating their, what are they going to do in the restaurants? You're going to go in and you're not going to wear a mask and you're going to be eating. And I got news for you. If you think somebody across from you isn't going to get sick because you cough, I mean, if it's that virulent, it's going to happen, And I think that the whole thing is this as deadly as we think it is, percentage-wise, and is the only way or the best way for things to progress to where we can get back to a normal life, is the only way to go out and just get people infected. Because I was reading the other day that something like 7 million people could be infected. 7 billion could be infected with this virus by the time it's all said and done. And millions would die. But even that's a small percentage. And obviously people want to stay alive. It's important. But what's the option? Just close everything up and let people starve? I don't know. That's what I mean. It's done my head in. It's a, what do they call that when you got a problem and it's an unsolvable problem? What's the word for that? Let me see if I can find that. Insuperable. That's not really. Whatever. Unsolvable. Yeah. Unsolvable will work. Masks only required in stores here. And for 50% of them, does anybody really think that a magic vaccine is going to suddenly make this go away? By then, everyone will be exposed. Conundrum? Yeah, that's a good word. Man, I don't know what to believe, to be honest. One day I'm scared to catch a shit and die in the hospital, and the other day I'm like, fuck it. I can't just shut in for the rest of my life. Conundrum, paradox. Yeah, conundrum is the word I think I was looking for. Jono, good morning. I knew you were awake and possibly listening as well as you listen. You're probably making breakfast or something right now. Jono doesn't have any problem staying inside, but he, like many others, likes to have the option to go outside and to just do what he wants when he wants without having to worry about the police saying, where you go, what you do? Let me see visa. That would be my thing here. If they started hassling me, then I would be a little bit irritable. How you doing, Jono? I'm on my second double espresso of the morning. As they say in Thai, khum. Very bitter. So anyway, I don't know that we're going to be back to normal life. You ready to go back to Max Wow You? Yeah, you're getting it, man. Max Wow You. You're going to go see some supermodern there. Many supermodern walking around there. Nah, Thailand is a great place. Um, but you're going to have to live within some guidelines. And you're going to have to be willing to abide by them or be capable of abiding by them, whatever that may mean. It may mean with your having to do with your visa. It may mean having enough money to live every month. It may mean there's many things, but if you can live in those, if you can conform a little bit, then it's a great place to live. I think it still is. And the case has been made. Oh, they don't want us here. They hate us. I think that's some of the people. They don't. And look in America. There's a lot of people in America who look at Asians and they go, what are they doing here? They don't belong here. And it's not to say that they're even. They may be American Asian or Asian Americans rather. They may have been born in America. Their parents may have been born in America. So, it's like my kids are Thai American. They don't get any hassles here. None at all. And I dare say they won't get any hassles in America. They never have. It is just waiting until they can at least treat it somewhat and not have hospitals overflow. Well, I don't think that argument really works because there are many hospitals that are empty. And I can tell you that the hospitals around my area, they're dead. I've been around two hospitals and both of them have been dead. I mean, less people than usual. And it's because they won't allow people to go for certain procedures, but also because no one wants to go. It's like the other day, go to Starbucks in Waitani Hospital. No. For what? You think I want to go in the hospital? I don't want to go in there, man. That's a building full of germs. That's all it is. I mean, it's just like any other building, except this is a building where people go that are sick. So it's even worse. So, anyway. How long have we been streaming? An hour now. Wow. Killed an hour. Today's, what do you call it? This is like a town hall. Town hall, Q&A, chit-chat, yak, 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 as they say here. You yak, yak. You yak, yak. He yak, yak, yak too much. I should do a whole show as a Thai. I've been to the hospital twice since the corona situation. And that was the ICU cast kind of filling up. When that happens, you get pretty nasty. You get nasty scenarios. Yes, I agree. Has anybody been like sitting at home binge watching TV? I'm curious to know because I don't get the same shows on Netflix or anywhere else for that matter. I don't really get the same shows as in the United States as quickly. Lockdown protests are rising in frequency and numbers in American cities. I think some of the lockdown guidelines that they're issuing are just a bit too strict. I think they've gone overboard. The hospitals are empty because there are less people out doing their thing, so there are far less accidents than normal. Yes. Define binge watching. Watching hours upon hours of shows or watching entire series or entire seasons of shows. Every time I go on Facebook, I'm getting hit with the 90-Day Fiancé show. Just in Facebook. And I go into Facebook like in the morning and then in the evening. And all I get is, there's new videos for you to watch. I get the little notification and I look and there's, different people that have videos, but there's always included in there, which I have not subscribed to any of them. I have watched them. there's all these 90 Day Fiance uh, shows, videos, whatever. They have different types of shows, I guess, which I don't know how they came. They're just using their brand to expand. Mighty Waddy, what's happening? There's concern that people are afraid to go hospital for serious. There's no concern with me when it comes to that shit. Listen, if I got heart trouble, I'm going in, and I'll have to force them to let me in before I die. I didn't invest in the television. Not really binge watching, but getting nostalgic, watching Star Trek, TNG. You know what? I just can't get into Star. I don't know what it is. And my Nicholas, he loves like science fiction, horror films, and I like traditional horror films, like Vincent Price type shit. Stuff that's not. It doesn't base itself on gore. It's not a slasher type genre. And so every time he wants to watch a movie, I got to ask him, "Hey, what kind of movie is it?" Well, it's action horror. I'm like, okay, so I know it's your kind of movie that I don't like. And the reason I don't really like the Star Trek is because I like the first one, the very first one with Captain Kirk. I got into that. I appreciated it. It was something that I could relate to because I was a kid, and I was like, wow. It was really kind of cheesy, kind of like Batman and Robin. And, but then anything after that, I just can't get into it. I don't know what it is. Just can't get into it. So I never watch I almost never watch any horror slasher films. I watched 1917 last night, the movie, and that was pretty good. War was much different then than now. Let me see something here. Yeah. See, I don't watch. I don't watch anything like. I've watched all the 48 hours. The first 48. Those were really good. I've pretty much watched most of those, or a large percentage of those. Star Trek, I just can't even watch it anymore. Chicago PD, can't watch it. Blu-ray, forget about it. Blu-ray used to be a big deal. Now I don't think it is. Fargo, I do like Fargo, and I had watched the first 2 seasons when they first came out, and then I haven't seen them in a while, so I have them, and I'm like the 4th episode of the 2nd season, and I've just stopped watching it now for a while. Just watched The Godfather 2 and followed with the Django last night, like for the umpteenth time for the Godfather. Yeah, now you got to watch the Oh, you watched the Godfather 2. Okay, I was gonna say you watch the Godfather. Now you got to watch the second one. Yeah, I go back and watch. Every once in a while I'll watch like Apocalypse Now. I just finished watching Salvador again a couple weeks ago. I like Salvador, Under Fire. We've got a nice little movie collection, and let's see here. I'm looking for something in particular. If I can find it. Enterprise really sucked. Yeah, everybody says The Wire is good, but I just can't bring I don't know what it is. I can't bring myself to watch it. I watched like the first episode or something, and I was like, I can't watch this. Sopranos, I've watched that. That's my favorite show. I've watched that whole series over and over again. In fact, I have a couple of the episodes on my phone. So that tells you something. And a lot of times what I do is, if I put the computer away, I just whip out my phone, and I've got a couple of different things on my phone at any given time. And I'll just lay down, read a book, then I'll watch something on the phone. And what did I do with this? It's just pissing me off now. I don't know what happened to it. Captain Archer should have stayed quantum leaping. My kids used to watch Archer. I can't find this. Yeah. All these shows you guys are talking about, I never watch them. Almost all of them I never watch. Sopranos I watch. Fargo. I used to watch Entourage when I was involved in boxing because we had our entourage. Now I don't watch it. UFC. Yeah. What's that going to be like? What's it going to be like? That they're not going to let people get into arenas, at least not in the near future. Here in Thailand, they're supposed to open up the Muay Thai stadiums in the middle of June. And I believe that's when they're going to open up. That's when they're going to open up the mall. They've opened up. I think there's two malls, Siam Paragon and I think Emporium or M Courtier. They've opened up both of those, but I don't know any other malls that are open. But I don't think the Mall Bangkok is open yet. Yeah, Archer the cartoon. Funny stuff. I haven't watched it in a while. It's been quite some time since I watched it. I'm looking for this one document. I can't find it. I don't know what I did with it. One thing that happens is if you have lots of photos and you got videos, storage is always a huge problem. And I've got 1, 2, I don't know how many back here. There's only 5 there, and there's another 3 there. 2, 3. So about 10 external hard drives, and they're all full. So I've got to kind of mix things around, delete stuff that I don't think is important, and I can't find this one form I wanted to find. But that's all right, whatever. Let's see here. I can't find it. Ugh. Magnum PI. Well, I'm sure you and Longhorns would get along. You'd have something to talk about. I used to binge watch the old Hawaii Five-0. I used to watch, Bonanza and Big Valley. I've got a couple 4 terabytes, and I've got, several 2 terabytes. I've got a couple 1 terabytes. So I need like a full-on backup, like 64 terabytes or something like that. You know what I mean? Like we're 32 back up to 32, something like that. College football, NFL, big money on the line for both those able to happen. I don't really watch any of that anymore. I can't. I don't want to spend my time watching them. That's what it is. I don't get that much enjoyment out of them. When I see these guys, some of these guys, okay, yeah, they got a lot of skill and all that kind of stuff, but then I see, so and so got arrested for shooting somebody. So and so beat up his wife. So and so, it just it's too much. Gold's Gym just filed for bankruptcy? Are you kidding me? Wow, that's terrible. Wow. That's TMZ, eh? Crushing our bottom line. Files for... Well, I mean, you can't have anybody come in. So they've got to keep paying their bills. Has to furlough the majority of its staff, including about 4,600 strong. Millions will be filing for bankruptcy soon. There is something to be said for living cheaply. J. Crew filed for bankruptcy. See, I haven't heard these things. I did see that the stock just took a dump on Friday, a massive dump. And did you see that what's his name, Warren Buffett, is selling off a lot of his airline stock? I think he said something like 85% of it. And he actually said, I don't know if it's ever going to get better again, if it's ever going to recover, and that's why he sold everything off. He's just like, I don't know if it's ever going to recover, which is, when you look at him, that says a lot. Speaking of NFL, Don Shula died yesterday. Yeah, you know what? He lived down the street from where I grew up. When I would go to high school, we would pass his house up. And was it all of his stock? We would go by Don Shula's house all the time. Me and my friends, we'd ride our bikes and go by there. But he was 90 years old. And when I was growing up, this is what I'm saying. The Dolphins was my team. They were my team. I'd go to, to games. And he was only, 90? He'd be, what is this, 20? So say 70. That's 50 years ago. He'd be 40 years old. And I was just a kid, like 10 years old. And, man, I just remember seeing his granite jaw. And when they went undefeated, and, they had Bob Greasy, Larry Zonka, Mercury Morris, Jim Kick, Paul Warfield, all these guys. That was when I loved football. Now, not so much. Hertz preparing for bankruptcy. Wow. Berkshire Hathaway sold all their airline stock. That's. I thought it was maybe it was something else. He said 85%, but I know he sold a lot of it. Thank you very much, George. I appreciate that once again. Big shout out to Mr. George. Thank you. Speaking of shout out. Ever hear people when they say idea? And they always say, it's his idea. They say it with an R at the end. Save your money and don't live beyond your means, and you'll enjoy the decline. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Now the way I think, before I didn't give it much thought. And then I thought, I've got to save for the future. And my wife, she's diligent about it. But, me, when it was just me, it was a little bit different. But now, it's very important. It's very important, like I told her. I said, listen, we don't have to be buying a lot of groceries, but we do need to be buying a little bit more than usual, and we need to be buying stuff that will last a long time, so that we get into a bind. We got cash, and we got some cash available, and we got. It doesn't have to be a huge amount, but it needs to be enough to get out of Dodge. It's the bug out bag with some bug out cash and some bug out food. American Airlines went from 1,000 employees in Phoenix to just over 200. Wow. I got out just in time. You just retired. Wow. Well, I guess that's congratulations, but probably would have been better if you could have done it on your own terms as opposed to this. Well, here in listen, in Thailand, what I just saw the other day. First, I saw This year is a wash, and I've been saying that too, and I thought, this year's a wash. Then it was, it's going to take around a year for everything to come back here, tourism. Then it was 18 months. Then I just saw the other day, no, it's going to be until like the end of 2022. So I don't think anybody really knows. 2 months ago, Hertz was at 20. Now it's at 2.70. Wow. Warren Buffett does not like to spend a penny on anything unless it's necessary. So if he's selling stuff, that means stuff is really bad. Exactly. Listen, you look at his stuff and you look at his portfolio and what he does and the way he does things, there's a reason why he's filthy rich. Now's probably the time to buy stock, although it's still become worse before it gets better. I don't know. Yesterday the stock was up. It was a little better yesterday. Let's see here. The stock market's rallying while the economy's tanking. Here's that simple explanation. Well, I'm not going to read that, but it's going to take time. I'm not sure that it's really time for stocks yet, to be honest. I'm semi out of the market until after the fall. Well, the Bitcoin is going to halve in how long now? Let me see. It's very, very shortly. I think it's May 10th or something. May 23rd. What is it? What? Price may drop after halving. What does it say here? May 12th. March 13th, blah, blah, blah. Noticeably, the big gains have happened in the weeks leading up to the mining reward halving due on May 12th and are reminiscent of similar price rallies seen ahead of the two previous halvings, which took place in 2016-2012. It says here, due on May 12th. Got to wait and see if there's a second wave or not. Probably beginner's luck. Yeah, my stock is up 20% since I got it 3 weeks ago, so I'm not ready to agree that all stocks will decrease. It's a do-over year, but we don't get it back. 10 days. 23rd of May. 10 days. Bitcoin will rise after the halving. Yes, that's what I've heard. That's what I've read. Domestic travel in the U.S. will do very well. Americans will stay home at least until 2022. Same in the EU. Travel to SCE from abroad will take the biggest hit. Yeah, that's probably true, but there is a lot of tourism here. And one thing that I don't particularly like is that the Thai Tourist Authority is trying to get the Chinese to start coming back in the near future. They want them to come back here. I don't want them to come back. I don't want to be around any Chinese from the mainland. It's just me. I don't want to be around any of them. They have the right, obviously, to come and go wherever they want, and that's okay. But I don't want to be around them. Just in case, And it's not about the virus. It's about them talking about and their lack of respect. And not all of them are like that. I don't want to stereotype all of them. But I just prefer not to be around them. And, I've gone back and forth in my head of going back to Hong Kong, whether things are good or bad there. The only way I think I would go back or I don't want to say the only way, one way I would go back is if the CCP had absolutely nothing to do with Hong Kong again, and Hong Kong was its own country. Then, okay. But obviously that's not going to happen in the near future. And so there's part of me that is like, I want to go back and shoot it, and I want to see what I can do, if I can get a couple more things published. But, then I'm like, what's the point? Just for me, I mean, there's other things I like to do. So, and the other thing is that going there in itself and seeing what happens just pisses me off. It pisses me off when I see how the CCP is around the world with this virus and how they are in Hong Kong. It just pisses me off. So I'm like, why do I want to get myself pissed off? Why do I want to irritate myself? Strange considering SES has the lowest rate of COVID out of the three. You're right. Holy shit. Time just evaporates when I'm just inside all the time. Blends together and vanishes. Issue of getting on the plane for long-haul flights and price of flights and quarantine requirements. That is a huge issue. Less seats means a higher fare per seat. Not to mention the fact that you're going to have to deal with these people. If you think the TSA has an attitude, think about what it'll be like to have to go in and out of the United States and then get on these planes and, you don't have your mask on 100% or something. It's just off a little bit and somebody says, "Sir, please fix your mask," and they start getting nasty like that. It just is a huge pain in the ass. And I'm like, man, I don't want to be stuck here for the rest of my life. And I won't be. But I dread the idea of traveling, and I do want to go back to the United States sometime this year. Thank you very much, John. Thank you. I think are you the first super chat of the day? I think so. I don't know. I think so. I'm winding you up talking about the CCP. Well, thank the CCP for all this bullshit. Don't buy into what some of the networks are saying about how, we've got to cajole the CCP, we've got to work with them. No, we don't. We need to find a way to fuck them up the ass. And that's how I'll put it that way because I want it to be very graphic. We need to bend Winnie the Pooh over and stick it to them. Really hard. Because that's what they need. That's what they'll understand. Enough of this whining, enough of this backtracking and lying and cheating and stealing intellectual property rights. And, I saw another video about the DJI and how several police forces have taken and used their China has DJI. That's their company. It is a company, a Chinese company. Getting ahead of myself. And they donated these drones to the United States, to some of the police forces. And the government is saying, no, don't use them. We don't trust them. It's like using Huawei or however you say it. I'm like telling my kids, don't ever get another Chinese product in front of me. Don't do it. After watching Serpent ZA and Lao Y86 for a long term, I can't stand China now. Watch China Uncensored also. That's a very good channel. I just see some of the stuff that they're saying. Now, these guys are not glorifying or being overly dramatic. And frankly, neither am I. When I used to talk about, a couple of months ago when I was talking about Hong Kong was always on my mind. Things tend to fade away a little bit, but in the back of my mind, I always remember what those police were like and how every once in a while I'd get a guy who was like, man, you could tell he was like hating what he was doing. And he was a Hong Konger. But, for whatever reason, you're stuck in a position, you got a wife, she's pregnant, you got a kid that's 5 years old, and you got to pay for his schooling, and money's tight, and the guy's just doing what he has to do, and he's just on the wrong side. Sue country to country, win in U.S. courts, then take payment by defaulting upon debt. Well, I don't know if that's possible. In theory, it's possible, but will that really happen? I don't know. Trump's going to renegotiate the trade deals to reflect reparations. I do believe that'll happen. Probably an extra 20% for 4 years to cover the cost. Well, he did say it was in the trillions that he's going to try to extract. And, what is that going to mean to the citizens of the United States? Are they going to each get a little, listen, everybody in the United States should get some money from China. Seriously, think about that. Everybody who's out of work, losing money, losing their businesses, if you lose your business because of this, there's got to be a way where you can figure out a flat payment for everybody who went out of business. The problem is that people will take advantage of it. And, the United States can recoup money, the governments can recoup money like unemployment, stimulus money, all that. They should be able to recoup that money. And I saw a lady asking Trump, I think it was in the virtual town hall, asking him, so do you still feel the same way about Xi Jinping? And he didn't want to say anything bad about him just because he didn't want to take it in that direction, but he didn't want to say anything good about him. And he said, I made the deal before all this happened. So, in other words, I didn't know what was going on. I forget how much it is exactly, Jar. Good morning, by the way. I said it the other day, and I don't remember what it is. I'm going to look real quick. 1.3 trillion in 2011. Let's see here. How much is the U.S. debt? 1.07 trillion as of December 2019. We could all get $3,000 a month for at least 1 year with extra unemployment on top of that, all paid by China. But the problem is I don't see that happening. I don't ever see that happening. Because the United States is not just going to throw that kind of money at people, at individuals, just because China paid them. China's never going to do that. Because that admits that they are at fault. And even if you present it to them, listen, it's just like if you're a guy and you're a little bit on the, you're a bit of a playboy or you're on the game, you know that if a chick ever catches you screwing around, you automatically say, nope, wasn't me. She's got a video of you and your voice is on some message. Not me, honey, it's not me. Yeah, but it is you, I see you. No, it's not me. No. And that's what they'll do. That's exactly what they'll do. They're going to be like, no, your information is wrong. And they're going to be going, yes, it is. It's right. And they're going to be going, no, it's wrong. And all they're going to do is just deny it. And then what are you going to do? You owe us the money. No, we don't think you're right, so we're not paying you. And then you're going to have to figure out another way to get it out of them. This is the world we live in. Which is, I've said it a million times. There's part of me, I just want to crawl under a rock. I want to crawl into a cave. I want to find my little cabin out in the woods or on some deserted island somewhere. If I want, I can jump in a boat and in an hour or two, I'm at some little town or whatever. I can get whatever I need. But unfortunately, that's not really possible. At least for now. Maybe in the future, I don't know. Maybe it will never be possible. I think that's what a lot of people would like. They'd love to have their own place where they have everything that they need. And if they want something else, they can get there fairly quickly and get it. But, it doesn't always happen. Gangsters don't pay legal debts. True. The U.S. will never give normal people that money, but has no problem giving trillions to the corporations. It's because the corporations generate more funds. They generate revenue. people don't generally generate revenue. But the corporations will not only generate revenue, but it will filter down to their employees, who then will generate revenue also by spending that money. So, that's why they do that. If they just give it to the people, people are going to go piss it away, and they're losing one level of revenue. Socialism for the rich, capitalism for the rest of us. Wonder if hardliners and CCP would attempt to push Xi Jinping out over this and take an even more aggressive approach with Hong Kong, Taiwan trade, etc. That is a good question. The Taiwan issue is something that's huge. China will never pay, hence got to deal with this via the debt issue. Yeah, you basically got to say sorry, Charlie. Sorry, Chinese Charlie. Whatever. You've got to do that. China stole an island in Philippine waters and placed a military installation on it. And then the president said he did not want to impose on China. Seriously. Well, really, there's reasons why he says that. Because think about something. Is it better to be friends with the monster in the room if you're tiny, or is it better to attack them and get crushed? But, China is, they've built things in the South China Sea. They've got the islands that they've built up. And they're not gonna capitulate. It's going to take force. And I'm not saying that it's going to take military force, but it's going to take force of some kind. It's going to take extreme pressure on them for them to try to weasel their way out. And that's what they'll do. They'll weasel their way out. They won't back out and say, well, the United States is right, we're going to back out. That's not what they're going to do. They're going to weasel their way out and act like it was their decision. How do you get somebody who's very stubborn to do something? You place seeds in their mind and let them think that what they come up with was their own idea. And they actually took the seed and ran with it. And that's what you got to do with China. China's going to get punished by the U.S. and the rest of the world. Watch. Oh, they're going to get punished. And they're going to hate the world. They're already hating on Australia, Germany, the UK, the United States, Taiwan. They're already hating on them. Of course, Hong Kong. And the Hong Kongers are pissed, let me tell you. I've got messages in the past few days from several Hong Kongers, and they are pissed. More pissed than before. Because not only do they have to live under this oppressive regime, they've also got to live with it and be locked down. Not as much now, but they're not, this is the thing. In Australia, they can go, sorry, we don't care, but you do own us. You're gone. Bye. And yes, maybe there's a lot of Chinese working in their facilities, but get out of here. We'll take it over. You think that the latest evidence about the virus being engineered in a Wuhan lab could be an excuse to go to war with China? I don't think that they've been saying that it's been engineered in a Wuhan lab. I don't think that's what the consensus is. I think the consensus is it was being studied in the lab, and it may have accidentally been released because the Chinese are fucking inept. They tend to be very inept. They've done this several times now. How many times are they going to fuck up before the world realizes you shouldn't let anything like that in their hands? Because it's dangerous. And quite frankly, it's dangerous anywhere. The protests in Hong Kong were the primary reason they released the virus. I don't know that that's true. And I can't agree with that. I think there's a number of reasons. They're not directing their police to harm citizens because they hate the Hong Kongers, and if they can't get their way, they're going to release a virus. I don't think that that's how it worked. It was created in University of North Carolina, exported in... You see, all of this is just... listen, I've watched almost every one of these other sides, other views. And while I can agree with some of the things, I do believe that listen, China's to blame for it. People study, citizen scientists, they study these kind of things all over the world. And you don't have this stuff happening in the United States all the time, where things are getting released and massive amounts of people are getting sick. It does happen in China all the time, and a lot of it has to do with their filthy practices, like in their wet markets. Listen, Thailand, compared to what I've seen in China, Thailand's markets are 10 times cleaner, 10 times more hygienic. A worker in the lab got infected, went to the market, and that's how it spread. Well, that may be listen, who knows? In the end, China will probably get away with this because the world's richest people will benefit with more with China on their side. At this point, I don't know, but what I do believe is that the CCP is to blame for this. If you look at the past viruses and their history, I think some of you guys, you should probably try to tune into, at least pick a couple of Lao Y86 and China Uncensored and Serpent ZA. Pick a couple of their videos. Make it a point to watch some of them. And I'll believe anecdotal evidence at this point from people who really know, who people have lived there, and they know that, like, just because they're foreigners, they're getting harassed by the police. They're being set up. They're being completely, what's the word that I was looking at? Not insulted. They're going after their wife. They're going after. It's just ridiculous what they do, all to control the narrative. I'm not sure how it is in regular media in your country when it comes to China, but here they don't really cover what China is all about, really. I get all my info from like YouTube and other new media. Well, they're starting to cover it a lot more now. And I think you have to really pick through. And if you figure out, now, of course, I'm not, all that well studied in this, but in the last, say, 8 months, I've learned a hell of a lot about China and about Hong Kong, and to a much lesser extent, Taiwan. The CCP operates in a certain manner, and they don't veer from that manner. They have an MO, and that's how they operate. And if you remember that they will lie, they will cheat, they will steal, just like I believe Pompeo said, talked about, which many governments do, obviously. But if you remember that government they take it to the next level. And then if anybody ever accuses them of anything, it's always that they're being victimized. They play the victim. They play, for whatever reason, whether it's a racist statement by some government official or whatever, they are never to blame. The more that people take responsibility for their actions, whether it be politicians or citizens, I think the better off we are. And the CCP never takes responsibility for anything except the good. Anything good happens, it's because of them, because of the state. Anything bad happens, it's because this person or that person, and then they do away with that person, whether it be kill them, get rid of them, reassign them, whatever. It was Lao 86 who said that regarding the female scientists getting infected and spreading to the market, Pompeo did mention that there have been accidents in labs in China before. Also, CCP wouldn't allow U.S. scientists to investigate. Yeah, and, like Trump downplayed it and said, oh, well, they're a proud country, they're capable. And no, you know what? They're full of shit is what it is. And he doesn't want to say that because he knows he's got to keep the lines open. In order to continue gaining further information, he's got to watch what he says. He's very astute when it comes to dealing with China and getting what he wants in deals. I think he's pretty astute. All the West sent manufacturing to China when they could make money. Yeah, it's about greed. CCP, take all credit, deny all responsibility. Exactly. But if you watch those 3 channels a little bit, if you really want to know more about China and you watch those 3 channels, you'll get some solid information and also accounts of what happens on the ground there. Both times I went to China, not including Hong Kong, I was sponsored. I was sponsored by the U.S. Olympic Committee when I went in 2008. And I think I went in 2015 or no, it couldn't have been 15. 2011. And I was sponsored by the promoter. Everybody in our team was sponsored by the promoter. Now, that promoter flat out told me that in order for him to put on events, he has to work with the government. The government is financing his events. So, I was allowed to go wherever I wanted pretty much. Not as much so. I didn't have the same freedoms when I was in Beijing and at the Olympics. But the second time, I stayed in the city and I went pretty much wherever I wanted. And the people were they were as decent as you would expect. But, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it. There's a different vibe. And, if they, if the people really enjoy what they're doing there, then, you can't say anything bad about the government, really. But what it is that just because, and I've said this before, Thailand is so safe. Okay, it's safe. Yeah, it's safe until riots break out in the streets and people start getting shot. Okay? It's safe until it isn't. That's how it works. Even in the Democratic Republic of Congo, if you go out, you got no money on you, you got nothing to give up, most of the time, they're not going to just come and beat you up because you're white. It's not going to happen. Now, if you go to the wrong place at the wrong time, it might. But if you go out and you got money and you show all this, well, then obviously the risk is higher. But if something pops off there and you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, it's it. It's over. You're done. You might get hacked to death. So, just like in anywhere, everything seems fine until it doesn't. And then it goes to shit. And I'm trying to think of where have I been besides, say, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Hong Kong, Guyana. But Guyana was fine. There was no problems in Guyana. Nicaragua, a little bit. I felt some vibes in Nicaragua. Some bad vibes. But I also felt some good vibes there as well. But, those places I talked about, Cambodia, when they were still running around with machine guns, the vibe wasn't exactly good there. You got the feeling that if anybody did something wrong and a few of the soldiers popped off, then the next thing you know, there'd be 100 guys there locking down the place and, taking care of things as they saw fit. I'm going to have to definitely... China hates those channels. I'm going to definitely have to check these channels out. LOL, it's Trump 2020. There is no other choice in 20. The DNC will screw up a wet dream. Exactly. Hi, Gennaro. I saw Pattaya is beginning to open restaurants. They're also beginning to close down some of the bars. Some of the people are leaving, shutting down their bars because they can't continue to stay open. And as far as the restaurant goes, I don't know how they're going to do that. I don't know how are restaurants going to stay in business? Raise their prices? Maybe. I saw Pattaya is beginning to open. Hello, Mitch. Saw some of the news. I was in Cambodia 2000, 2001, 2002. When were you there? I've been there more than 50 times, MetTech. And I've been going there since about 1996. Long time. And it's changed. But that even, I mean, I haven't been there in a couple of years now. But even the last couple of times I went, the people there, they don't have a lot. Some of the people there don't have a lot, and if you want a problem, you'll find it. If you mouth off and say the wrong thing, you're gonna get a problem. I mean, for sure. But they are not the kind of people that are overly aggressive to you, like in some areas of the world. Mr. Mitch, when was the last time you were in Thailand? I'm curious to know. And Gennaro, when are you going to come over here? Obviously, now it's a little more difficult to come over here. I'd like to check something. Let me see something. If their website still works. 2009. Was that the only time you came here, or have you been more than once? You were here in 2002 and 2004, or what? What are my opinions of the China-Thailand ties? I think that at this point, I think that Thailand is going to tread very carefully because they want to make sure that they don't completely lose the United States, but they don't. They know that they need China. Saw some news on that today. Right, I didn't have problems in Cambodia. Not sure if you talk about this kind of dinner. I'm thinking next year. I did bus trip from Bangkok to Phnom Penh twice. Tons of scams at the border crossing. Yeah, I mean, once you know the scams, then it makes it a lot easier. But I've done the bus trips to Phnom Penh, Bangkok to Phnom Penh. I've done them just to the border. My buddy and I took a car from the border once to go to Phnom Penh. We took a bus, and then we got a car at the border, and it was raining cats and dogs. It was really, really muddy, and the roads weren't paved at that time. And we went off into a ditch. It wasn't funny at the time, but we did the guy hit something, his tires might have been a little too slick or something, I don't know, but he hit a spot, and he spun around, and we slid down into this ditch, and we were okay, but his car wasn't okay, and basically he was able to call his friend, and they came and picked us up, and then we continued, but it took a lot longer to get there than we wanted. When money is right, when my money is right, I would love to visit Thailand. First time, 1981, and approximately 19 times since then. Oh, okay. I didn't know you'd come that much. I went to Siem Reap, Sihanoukville, Phnom Penh by bus in 2014. Yeah, where did I go? How did I do that? No, I went from, I flew into Phnom Penh, and then I don't know if we took a bus or we took a taxi, and we went to Sihanoukville. That was about 2014, 2015, something like that. 60 to 90 day trips in a couple of 6 months. Suvarnabhumi airport site doesn't even mention Corona. Well, I mean, what do you want them to do? I don't know. Why would they up? Why would they? I think it's a person's responsibility to figure that out on themselves. Okay, so if I was to leave from Bangkok to Miami on June 1st, returning on the 27th, let me see something here. I got to see this. Holy moly. Foreigners are not even allowed in here at this point. But for Thais, 14 days. And the thing is that there's something like 500 Thais coming in from this past weekend. And so that means that, and they're coming from all over the world, so that means there's a risk that they'll have the virus, and so they're quarantined. Yeah, let me see this. This is crazy. I don't know if that's a total price or just for one way. Let's see here. Okay, total price is 41,765 baht, which is about 1,300 US dollars. 1,300 bucks. That's on Delta, which is a little more expensive than, you know, if you were to take China Eastern, but I don't want to ever fly a Chinese airline again. It seems every website I go to mentions COVID-19. Yeah, I mean, I don't know why Suvarnabhumi doesn't mention it, but I mean, like, I know that a couple of the cruise lines, their websites didn't say a word about the coronavirus, and then the government reprimanded them, and their stocks dropped because of it. So, I mean, listen, it's our responsibility as citizens to figure out what's going on. As long as that information is available in some way, if you have to, you call up the place that you need to use. What do you think will happen after May 31st? Will the border open? I don't know, because they're not even opening up a lot of the malls until like June 15th. And then some of them, what's the other one? I don't know. I got to look here. What is this? Let's see. Oops. Okay, this is June 15th. So June 15th, cinemas, theaters, gaming shops, massage shops, stadiums, conference centers, exhibition halls, pubs, bars, and karaoke's in air-conditioned rooms. So I would say the middle of June to, say, July 1st, depending on what happens here, assuming things stay kind of stable. I would say that they're not going to allow people to come in until then. And, people have, I would say the end of June. And in that way, people have automatic extensions until the end of July, which that gives them a little bit of leeway. Any opinions on the future of the retirement visa? I want to retire there in 3 to 4 years. Hard to say. I don't think that they've already made some changes recently, aside from being a little stricter on the health insurance, and maybe, they already changed the way that you have to deal with the money, putting money in the bank. I don't see them raising that up, increasing that yet. They may, but I don't think they'll do that. Maybe in 3 or 4 years they might. I don't know. I was on my way back to Thailand when this broke out. Not sure when I'll be able to return for a longer period. I get a feeling it will be a while. Might be. Which is why I really would like to get back to the United States, but I don't want to go under these circumstances. I'm saturated on seeing COVID-19 statements in times of uncertainty, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Why? I wonder if Cathay Pacific and Ava Air will be able to survive. I'm sure the Chinese airlines undercut most Asian. Yeah. Medical certificates will be required, and also $100. Yeah, that's been going around for a long time, Gennaro, and they haven't really done that yet. In mass, and so I don't know. That's basically for people entering. That's anybody. That's not just people living here. Not sure how Thailand will welcome people like me without a wife or that sort of ties to Thailand again. I was on my way back to Thailand and I shattered my wrist. Da, 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 everything's going great. Correction, there's a video. Let's see here. One second. It would suck if you went back to the States and got stuck. Yeah, definitely. And that's, obviously one reason I don't really want to go back. You know. Anyway, it'll all be okay. All you have to do is click your heels together and say, there's no place like home. There's no place like home. There's no place like home. And we'll all be okay. Yeah, that'll do it. Sure. Anyway, this stream seems to have run its course. I'm sorry I was late today. I don't know if I'm going to stream on Thursday or Friday. It's supposed to be Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, but sometimes I think it's too much to do 3 times per week. For a while, I thought, I'll do them every day, Monday through Friday. I'd like to know what people think. If you could, you don't want to comment in the chat, maybe you can leave a message. How many times a week do you think streaming is a good idea? Because I'm not opposed to doing something every day, but I'm not opposed to doing something once or twice a week either. And I still haven't I'm a little slow. I haven't really figured out that sweet spot, but I'm getting to it. And fortunately, the channel is growing a little bit. I just put out a video, or a couple of videos for people in the Patreon site, rather, for the Patreon patrons, and also in the membership site. So, there are some videos going up, and there will be some coming up here in YouTube. And my kid actually said to me, once I get through this project that I'm doing, I'll have some time, and maybe I can help you. And I'm like, okay, good. I like his help. 3 to 4 times a week. Okay. So, I see some of these guys like, what's his name? Tim Pool and that Mahatutsi or whatever his name is. Some of these kind of guys, they're doing them like every day, and I think it's just too much. It's too much for me. And to be quite honest, I don't want to do them every day. I would, but I don't really want to. And I've been thinking about what to do, where to go once this is done, what to show, even in Bangkok, because things are going to start opening up, and I will get back out a little more, just to show what's going on. Maybe I'll go over to the Chao Phraya again. I'll go to Icon Siam. I don't know. Maybe I'll go to, who knows? I'll go to some older parts of Bangkok. We'll see. So, anyway, I think this stream has run its course. Thank you very much to everyone who has contributed, who has watched, who's followed the channel. Really appreciate it. Thank you for the thumbs up and the thumbs down. Appreciate it. It's all interaction, baby. When we all go back to work, the demand is going to slow down. Exactly. That's another thing. You know, the channel has gotten, it's increased when it increased when I went to Hong Kong. The viewership went up dramatically. Once I came back, it went down, and I've been losing subscribers, and I dare say that a lot of those are probably from Hong Kongers, Chinese, who they have absolutely no interest in what I'm talking about now. And you know, now I think some of it's gone up because of the you know, people are home, they're not working. Although generally when I stream in the United States, people, that's good, people are coming home or they're already home, you know, so whatever. I don't know what to say. What are you gonna do? Anyway, let me put a little music on. I think I got a little music. Let's say goodbye. I'm working on getting a little setup here. I'm trying to figure out just how much everything is, when I can afford it, if it's worth it. Maybe I don't know. It seems like everything's fine now, so I don't know why we need to get anything. But let's see. Yeah, now it's much more dead, so I've got time to watch your stuff. That's the thing, you know. But the streams are they're still online. You know, I'm keeping them public. I'm not making them private or anything, so they're always available for people who can't watch live. But I appreciate the everybody watching, and I guess until next time, choke me, let joke and mine. Choke me, adios, and arrivederci, and all that kind of stuff. Alright? Thank you for watching.